Good afternoon and welcome to Spokane Falls Community College. Yay! It is our pleasure to welcome Dr. Brockbank for his town hall, and before we complete the introductions, I'm going to read our native land acknowledgement. We are honored to acknowledge that the community colleges of Spokane and our main campuses for Spokane Falls and Spokane Community College are located on the traditional and sacred homelands of the Spokane tribe. We also provide services in a region that includes the traditional and sacred homelands of the Coeur d'Alene tribe, Confederated Tribes of the Colville Reservation, Kalispel tribe, and the Nez Perce tribe. We pay our respect to tribal elders both past and present, as well as to all indigenous people today. This land holds their cultural DNA, and we are honored and grateful to be here on their traditional lands. We give thanks to the legacy of the original people and their descendants, and pledge to honor their stewardship and values. And really quickly before I introduce, I just wanted to remind all of you that we have a very exciting event coming up on November 13th, which is the ribbon cutting for Skitch, our new building. Woohoo! We are excited to do the entire event, but also to welcome Barry Moses, some of whom you may know, but he was a faculty member at SCC for many years. He is an expert on the Salish language, and he helped us to choose the name of the new building, and he's going to share the meaning of it and the history and culture behind the value of that name. So without any further ado, I want to now introduce to you, and this may be a new face to some of you, Melanie Rose, our new Chief Institutional Advancement and External Affairs Officer. Did I do it? I did it! So Melanie, welcome. Oh, that's right, this is for Erin.
That's yours, yes.
Exit.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for the introduction. I'm Melanie Rose. I'm super excited to be here. This is my second week, and so my 10th day, maybe, something like that. So obviously this is my first town hall, and I'm really excited to be here. This is a big day, of course. The big brand reveal is going to be happening, and Chancellor Brockbank's excited to talk about that. I just wanted to do a quick shout out. This is day 4 of the CCS employee campaign. Hopefully you're all aware of that. I just want to take a moment to recognize the employees at CCS who are also alumni of SCC and SFCC, and I know there are a lot of them. I've been chatting with people over the last couple of weeks. You're all excellent supporters of our students, in part because you used to be one of them. During the Foundation's employee campaign, Sasquatch for Life, I just want to thank you for not only coming here for your own education, but for staying to help others with their education. And thanks to everyone who have already responded to the campaign this week. So thank you so much. All right, Chancellor Brockbank would like to say
You might have known us as community college.
Oh, that was weird. Okay, I don't know what that was. Go ahead.
Just as an intro to just an intro to the video, correct?
Yeah, you're introing the video.
All right, so admittedly, this is not going to help you out, Melanie, but I'm slightly nervous today too. I'm super excited about the brand reveal and all that goes into it. So many people have put so much time and effort into where we are today. I really want this to go well and really want people to resonate with folks. I think it's super exciting. I love what the product is that we got out of the work. It's been over a year to get to this point. And so we have a lot in front of us, but I think the first part of it is to show everybody a summary of that. And the marketing department made a great short video that really does capture it and gives you a visual representation of where we are. And then we'll follow up with questions and start to fill in the blanks after that. So if we're ready, I think we should watch the video.
Yep, let's roll the video.
You might have known us as community colleges of Spokane. You've seen our campuses nestled along the Spokane River, in the heart of the city, and through the Palouse. We were home of the Bigfoot, or if you've been here long enough, also the Spartans. Communities rely on both colleges to provide quality education for an empowered workforce. We're spread across 6 counties, 7 campuses, and 2 colleges, all unified under one mission. Now, we're here to own it. Using data collected from 1,300 survey participants like you, This new brand is designed to show up for our community. We are embracing the region that you know and love with a refreshing look that pays homage to the Pacific Northwest's iconic landscapes. Spokane Community College and Spokane Falls will come together to represent their shared mission, vision, and values while honoring their individuality. With Skitch's new look, Spokane Colleges stands tall and fierce next to its competitors. Our successes are shared. Whether we're in the classroom, on the field, or out in our city, we support each other because we know we're capable of more. Because Spokane Colleges champions students as they are and celebrates their uniqueness. Spokane Colleges stays committed to teaching anyone who wants to learn and takes pride in being an inclusive, accessible option for education in our community. We prepare students to take the next step, whether that means starting a new career, continuing education, or exploring other opportunities. Spokane Colleges is our stepping stone to a better reality. Let's own this space, academically, athletically, and professionally, because we are Spokane Colleges. Don't get left behind. Take the next step.
Well, thank you, everyone. I'm excited that they cheered. That's really awesome. We're going to start with the first question. So
Okay.
why are we rebranding the community colleges? What's motivating this, and what does it really mean?
First of all, I wanted to show everybody my artistic ability. I did that. I didn't do any of that, actually. I think I covered some of this at Convocation. There's a couple different reasons why we're doing this. I think we can all kind of agree that currently our logo is blah, or however you want to describe it, but it is not modern. It doesn't represent us well. It's decades old. And you know, we're in a position where we're in kind of a competitive marketplace, and it's just time for a refresh. But I also talked at Convocation a little bit about the reality of this, which is we do incredible things here and do them at a super high level and a higher level than anybody else in the region. And I just feel strongly about that. I love my partners at the other institutions, but that's how I feel. And what's unfortunate is that I think when I'm around the community and different meetings and different places is we get lost a little bit sometimes in the space between K-12 and four-year institutions. And I would say that we have been too passive in sharing what we do and how we do it. So this is really about, first of all, modernizing it, and then we'll kind of talk about how we got here a little bit too in a subsequent question. But it's about what we do, how we do it, and frankly, just making sure that everybody in our community recognizes that. If we're kind of passive and sit back and wait for people to come to us because we do great things, we're doing a disservice to some people in our community who don't know about us and should be here and should be part of transforming their lives, as it says in our other mission. And I think that's too bad. And I also am just kind of over it, the idea that when we have conversations about higher education in certain settings that our name doesn't come up, or we're misrepresented as for what we offer. So this is really one of those moments that we are going to absolutely spend time, effort, and money so that everybody in our community understands very clearly who we are and that we take ownership of the space that we do such an incredible job in. And currently, I think we have some room to improve there. And so I'm super excited about trying to be part of the messenger of that work, and really looking forward to the next, I'll talk about length here in a little bit, but that's why I think we're doing it, is because it's necessary for us to have pride in what we do and for our potential students to recognize where we are.
Okay, thank you.
So as you talk about that, we talked a little bit earlier today and thought, you know, if I'm in the crowd and that's the first time I see this, I would probably want to see it again. Do you guys want to see it again? Yeah. You were right. It's a lot to watch, and we'd be happy to show it again. I will also tell you that tomorrow, when this gets recorded, when we send the recording out, I'm also going to ask Brianne to send a couple of the PowerPoints that went to the Board of Trustees during our approval process with our Executive Branding Committee, as well as this video will be available too. So we're going to share more and more information. There's just a lot to share with you along the way, and we want you to have access to all that. So let's watch it.
So we're going to play it again, Brianne. Sorry.
You might have known us as community colleges of Spokane. You've seen our campuses nestled along the Spokane River, in the heart of the city, and through the Palouse. We were home of the Bigfoot, or if you've been here long enough, also the Spartans. Communities rely on both colleges to provide quality education for an empowered workforce. We're spread across 6 counties, 7 campuses, and 2 colleges, all unified under one mission. Now, we're here to own it. Using data collected from 1,300 survey participants like you, this new brand is designed to show up for our community. We are embracing the region that you know and love with a refreshing look that pays homage to the Pacific Northwest's iconic landscapes. Spokane Community College and Spokane Falls will come together to represent their shared mission, vision, and values while honoring their individuality. With Skitch's new look, Spokane Colleges stands tall and fierce next to its competitors. Our successes are shared, whether we're in the classroom, on the field, or out in our city. We support each other because we know we're capable of more. Because Spokane Colleges champions students as they are and celebrates their uniqueness. Spokane Colleges stays committed to teaching anyone who wants to learn and takes pride in being an inclusive, accessible option for education in our community. We prepare students to take the next step, whether that means starting a new career, continuing education, or exploring other opportunities. Spokane Colleges is our stepping stone to a better reality. Let's own this space, academically, athletically, and professionally, because we are Spokane Colleges. Don't get left behind. Take the next step.
Awesome.
So one of the things I actually wanted to cover before we played the video the first time, and then I blanked out because I was thinking about other stuff, was there's a couple things in here. As we start going through this process of launching this brand and sharing things, we're going to have some places where we have to tweak and twist the message of things that looked good or that we approved and thought about during the development process, but then when you put it into practice, it doesn't sound quite right and things like that. So there's part of this video that I think stood out to a couple of us. Is during the development process, we kind of talked through the idea that, hey, everything we do ends in a workforce outcome, right? If you're a transfer student, you're not coming here so that you have an associate degree so you're smarter at the next cocktail party, right? Like you're moving on to Eastern, you're moving on to Idaho, this is a stepping stone to your next chapter. And we want to make sure that we use that workforce term inclusively in the development process, but we are not going to lose that word and that focus as we get into the application and pushing this out. So little twists and tweaks like that along the way. So give us a little grace as we get going here, but don't be afraid to point things out, and we'll do what we can to resolve those things. So.
Okay, I think we'll do one more question and then open it up if anyone has any questions. Would you explain the process that we went through to get to the final product?
Yeah, I think this is the best thing about our brand was the process, even though it was painful at times. You saw in the video, 1,300 people surveyed. There was focus groups. There was 430 some people internally who provided information. And the important part about that is the brand is not just these logos. I think when people think about brands, they think about the image and the logo and how cool it will look. The brand is about who we are, what we do, and why we do it. Right? That's a full brand implementation. How do we look at it internally, and how do we know who we are? And then how do we position ourselves externally to let everybody know what kind of an organization, institution we are? So when you see our logo, and as we continue to share more and more pieces of the development, the mission, vision, values that go along with this, which I'm going to tell you does not replace our current mission, vision, and values that we have for the whole organization. But this, I will say that the work that was done by our consultant on this paints a better, more accurate, full picture of who we are than I've ever seen before. Like, it's really awesome. And the thing I love about the process of getting here was the surveys, the research, the step-by-step going through, the involvement of the Board of Trustees. And at the end of the day, here's what I love, is that our brand is a vetted, researched, clear and concise representation of who we are. What you will see in other organizations and other, like you can look at business, everybody can think of an example, is when people use a brand to try to move an institution or organization to a certain point, to make this is what we're going to be, we're going to use a brand to pull it there. That's not what branding is for. Branding is about pushing out and saying, this is what we do, this is why we're awesome, and you're going to listen to us about it. So when you see our brand, that is not what we're striving for. That's who we are and what we're great at. And the other thing I like about it, those are all things that we're continuing to get better at along the way. And so when the video says we're going to own this space, that's what that means.
Awesome. Okay, does anyone have questions? Aaron's here with the microphone. There's a question over here.
Is this close enough? Hello. Okay, I have to like hold it in my mouth. It's very awkward. First of all, loving the green because I just got new green shoes. Now I have an excuse to wear them to work. It's my favorite color. Yay. I'm more curious about the timeline of the rollout. And I'm also curious about our emails changing for the district.
Yeah. So as you can imagine, some things are still in discussion, but rollout, let's all go to rollout and then we'll talk about emails things. So rollout-wise, part of our contract with our consultant was a campaign strategy, and then we are currently working on the idea that our major external rollout will be in January, not January 1st, but January and February is when we want to visualize and start pushing it out to our community. I mean, everybody wants us to buy billboards, we'll buy some billboards. But it's also it's social media and all the other mechanisms that we have for sharing. We'll also be doing a lot of things in the community, like sponsoring GSI events, where we're able to share this with community leaders, getting into high schools, getting into businesses, getting into different events. And the other part that will happen starting in January and February is we're going to start arming you with the tools to be agents for this too. It can't be myself and President Messina and President Martin like, oh, you three go knock it out and make us rebranded. We'll need everybody to be a part of that. And actually that will start a little bit today, Alyssa, because there are gift bags on the way out. Oh yeah. I love the swag stuff, by the way. But stickers, magnets, those things. So today is the soft launch of this, right? Like I know I can't control where you put stickers and magnets and on everybody's car or whatever happens. But so the January, February is a really first big push. And then I envision our plan will last for a good 18 months as we continue to push our awareness and our image and our brand into the fabric of this community. So your second question was about the email addresses. Still wrestling with that. The logistics of emails, signs, business cards, you can imagine how overwhelmingly layered that is. And we're picking those apart one by one. It will take a long time for us to get rid of the Pac-Man mountains looking logo, but we're gonna do our very best to take these logos and put them everywhere everywhere we can to be visible across our entire service region. It's gonna take some time though.
Okay, thanks for the question. I think we've got an online question.
Yes. Not to put you on the spot on your 5th day on the job or whatever, Melanie, but will there be bags available for those who couldn't make it to the falls?
Nope.
I know the answer.
Yeah, okay, you know the
Yeah, we are planning on taking the remaining bags to, we realize many SCC employees are not driving across town. We're going to put them in Guillermo's area. Thanks for showing up, Guillermo. Yes, we're going to hand those out and leave some here available for people who weren't in the room today, but also get some across town and pass those out. There's quite a few of them, and we're going to continue to try to pass out those kinds of tools for you along the way as well.
I think we're planning to pass them out tomorrow too at the all admin
Yeah.
meeting for anyone who goes to that who's online and not in the room.
Yep.
Okay, more questions? Do you have any more, Jeff, online? And how about in the room? Okay. Thanks.
Well, first question is, how did you find the tie? Because you really spoiled it for us with the tie.
He nailed it.
It's the only green thing I own. On Tuesday, I'm like, I gotta figure out something to wear. This is
It's
all
spot
I got.
on.
I have a pair of green shoes too, but I gotta work on my wardrobe.
I mean, I guess when you talk about it's going to take all of us to help with launching this, is there if you could tell us to give an elevator pitch, during the holidays, we're seeing family and friends from around the community, and we have the chance to pitch them on this new rebranding. What's a good 15-second something to let them know?
Our vision is to give you a small list of talking points in that vision. We want to develop that so it's a universal. I'm not going to make you carry it in your pocket, but we are very.
I will.
Yeah, we'll very much be talking about that. And there's the things we can't share today. This is a great question that I'd love to answer in detail, but this is what would take 90 minutes. Is the research and survey results resulted in that mission, and then there's a vision statement that says, our vision is to cultivate an empowered workforce where every person reaches their fullest potential and reinvests in the community. It's the idea hey, we're moving people up so that they are in careers so they reinvest in our community. And how we get to those points and are part of those talking points that we want to be able to convey clearly for everybody. And so I think if I were to give a 30-second speech, I just did it a bunch of different times, but for us it's this, which is, this is a really clear picture of who we are and what we do at the highest level in this community. And we want people to recognize that and show and understand the value that we have here. And we want people to recognize us as the educational force that we are and the great work that is done here. I'm starting to repeat myself, but we know that needs to be a tool that we arm everybody with in a way that is consumable for everyone. So by the time your Christmas dinner happens, we'll have something for you. We've actually started working on it.
And to be clear, the falls, we are the blue water that goes down.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So that little triangle, the double Spokane Colleges logo, I really love that. In that, number one, it's just uniquely Pacific Northwest, right? That just identifies us as a region really well. It's modern and new. And then the way it breaks apart when you need that time to identify a specific college is so smooth and so relatable. We're not going to have that. We had such a spaghetti, I don't know this acronym soup of just CCS, SCC, SFCC, CCS Foundation. This to me feels so much more aligned and understandable. During the research, we did take away the Community Colleges of Spokane name. There are a lot of negative connotations with that, just historically about, is this an entity, is that an entity? Spokane Colleges is an overarching sort of tagline but the two colleges were identified as really relatable and identifiable in the research, and that those needed to be retained as kind of anchor points of recognition and association with our education.
Yeah, it kind of looks like the little Sims diamond that's above their heads.
Yeah.
But I love it. It's really cool.
Thank you. I love it too. Does anybody want to know why the Sasquatch is blue? Yeah. There's two reasons. Number one, nobody knows what color a Sasquatch is because it's not real. But also during the process of working with professionals on this, the idea is we want our Sasquatch to be owned, unique, identifiable. Nobody's going to mistake us. So nobody mistakes the Eastern Washington Eagle with the Philadelphia Eagles, right? Nobody mistakes the Denver Broncos with the Boise State Broncos. So Wolfpack, Grizzlies, whatever you want to call it. For example, there's a guy going around town now who, I think this is actually ingenious, he's creating a water product called Bigfoot Pee. We want our Bigfoot to look different than that. very identifiable. So the color and also just the design and then the consistency of the design is really, really important to us. And if you look at the WSU Cougar, that thing's the same everywhere. Nobody modifies it, nobody twists it, it has to be clean. So not only are we gonna make sure that we have something identifiable, but there's gonna be a style guide that keeps us all aligned, doing the same thing. And we're not gonna have 14 Bigfoots, or Sasquatch, sorry. Not gonna have a bunch of different variations of department or division logos. There will be a template, and actually you can start to request some of that stuff from the marketing department through that process. We want to keep those things tight and consistent and identifiable for us. So the blue Sasquatch for me, I was warm on it, but the more I looked at it, the more I liked it along the way.
Okay. Other questions? There's one over here.
So we were expecting this to come out at convocation. It took a little bit longer. What were some of the points of contention, or what was it that brought us to this Sasquatch? Like, what were some of the chatter that happened?
It's a long process. So part of the process I didn't really explain was the rebranding project was actually a project owned by the trustees. And the reason that was done is that knowing that when they started it, that they would go through a chancellor transition. And so during this project, there were 3 different chancellors. And there was Christine, there was Greg Stevens as interim, and then myself. And what we were really trying to work against was the idea that somebody would come in and erase all the work, right? So there's an executive committee, which is myself, both presidents, Carolyn Casey, who was previously in this position, and 2 trustees. So number one, scheduling was challenging at times. But more so, our timeline got to a point where we had the first product of logos in, help me, was it May or June? May. And we got on a phone call, and I don't know what the word is, but it was a disaster. It really was bad. We could not come to any agreement. And to tell you the truth, it was the best thing that happened to us, because the product we have here today is 10,000 times better than their first product for us. I think we all agree on that, right? And so we got off the timeline this summer that would have had us launching in the fall. And then even at the end, we were kind of really tight on some final color changes and little tweaks and twists, because it all gets approved by the board, and then it's law, I guess. But we just got sideways with some things that weren't right, and it was worth our time to go back and make sure it got done right, because it did get done right. So.
Great question, thanks. I think there was a question over here. Thanks, Erin. I know.
Hi everyone. I appreciate you saying the brand is not only the logo. And this question I'm asking, apart from logistics, what gave you hope about this project? What was frustrating? And what do you think is
The first part of that.
What apart from logistical issues, I'm asking what gave you hope, what frustrated you about this project?
Oh, gave hope or frustrated about the process? I think the part that was, the hope part's easy, and I'll cover that in a second. I think the frustrating part of the process was how difficult it was to get all of us in rooms to take the next step sometimes. It took a lot of investment of time and a lot of work. It just took a long time. And I think there were times when the whole executive committee didn't agree on certain things. And so we really had to work through some different perspectives to get where we are today. So it just wasn't super smooth all the way through, but that tells you we did the work to get the right product. What gives me hope about this is we now have the tool or tools to compete for visibility and recognition and awareness and celebration of our product with any other higher ed institution in this region. And one of the questions we have written down here that we're not going to get to, but I'm going to say it anyways, is like, what does it look like if you're wildly successful a year from now? And for me, it would be a year from now, or maybe a little bit longer than that, is that we are as recognizable, if not more recognized, than any other higher ed institution in this region. That's a little hard to, And frankly, I say that because I think we deserve it. And we get less recognition now than others. Now, are we going to be out identifiable of the Gonzaga basketball team? Maybe. Where's Fitzgerald? And
That
AJ?
Sasquatch is pretty cool.
Yeah, there we go.
I mean, super cool.
It's super cool.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're going to spare any sort of, here's what I would say. We are not going to be bashful or reserved about promoting and celebrating what we offer to this community. So I'm hopeful about.
Yes. Jeff.
Sorry, I just wanted to jump in because we were talking specifically about the Sasquatch, and there's some good chatter going on in the YouTube chat. And people want to confirm, is it still Skitch?
Yeah, we did not talk about the mascot Skitch name, so at this point, stays the same. And then we've got some questions back here too.
There's hands. Oh my gosh, look at, they're waving back there. Hello.
People in the back are conspiring to.
It's kind of hard to see you.
So I do really like the logo and the design. So my question is, because you said you wanted us to help with the marketing. So when we're talking about swag, are there going to be hats that have that logo on it? Are there going to be shirts that, since we are ambassadors, that we are going to get?
There's going to be as much giveaway stuff as we can legally get away with. And maybe a couple that we shouldn't. I think one of the things that's always been on a lot of people is like, we want more apparel that is wearable, and we are going to promote this as much as we can. Certainly, when I was talking earlier, it's about being a messenger of the rebrand, right? And kind of here's your one-page talking points and those different things. But yeah, I actually I talked about volunteering about getting my car wrapped in the new logo. I did talk to my wife first, but and that was halfway out of my mouth, and I thought. So for those people online who didn't hear that comment, somebody goes, "You gonna get a tattoo?" No. That's got the bad mojo on it, like it's a bad idea. But yeah, I think we will absolutely shirts, hats, whatever we can kind of come up with that will help us promote that. And then I think we need to have a steady supply of those wearable items that you're proud to wear and looks good, high quality stuff. And it's a little challenging to do that and not lose a bunch of money on it. But once again, I think you all deserve the opportunity to take pride in and promote the place you work at and the great things we do. And sometimes that's wearing a sweatshirt. It is that simple. So, Craig Rickett. I think, I can't see very far, but I think that's you.
In an attempt to keep everything on brand, are we going to have, for example, like Spokane Falls Community College Engineering and Spokane Falls Community College Theater? Are we going to be able to reach out to the graphics department and get those so that we can keep everything on the same brand?
Yes, that style guide that the chancellor was talking about is in development right now. It's supposed to be done by the end of the month, and there's a section in there to address your question. So we will, and you can reach out to the marketing department if you're interested in that, and we can go ahead and get started. We're starting on a lot of things right now, leading up to January.
So yes, through the regular marketing request process, right? Like we want a department logo. I think would be the request for you. and then we'll just keep them consistent.
Yep. Okay, other questions?
Guillermo here from Spokane Community College. You mentioned sponsorships out in the community. I think this logo and rebrand gives us an amazing opportunity to make a big splash with that. I know Kim is in the room, so I know she will appreciate the fact that don't come to myself, even Jenny, for sponsorship requests. That all goes through the marketing office. So small plug there for them. But I would like to ask how one would traditionally go about, like, hey, the rodeo's in town or the hockey night, like where does one begin? Because I think that would be really helpful for the community that's listening.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Guillermo, because I did kind of open the door when I said that. And you know, the couple things we've got picked out as sponsorship spots are about 300 people or more in one place. However, I think if there are places, whether they're sponsored or available for us to present at, I'd love to have them come either to myself or Melanie, and we can kind of start figuring out where we can be. We're going to do a couple things like with the local chambers that are free, but they're, you know, kind of the after 5 type events where we get to bring in there and hand out similar bags to what we have here. But we don't know all the events, and actually some of the groups that you might be a member of or aware of that would allow us to come in and share some of the marketing and branding vision as well as some of the information. We'd love to hear from you. That's how we get through out to diverse groups and places that we wouldn't necessarily all recognize because we don't all belong to the same groups. So just let us know, and then we'll refer it back to Guillermo's area.
Great question, thanks. I think we have an online.
Yes, thank you. First of all, there's some great fun stuff going on in the chat about, yeah, we need scarves. Are we getting a new Skitch costume? Will there be funding for individual programs to update their brochures and other materials? And then will the rebranding affect what clubs should do in creating logos, like student clubs? And that's kind of very specific, but just generally.
Yeah, I think it goes back to the style guide question. That will guide what we do there, but we are setting aside some money from strategic investment fund that we talked about earlier, late last year and early this year. But there is some money being set aside for those changes that will be needed so that we're not asking it all to be absorbed by individual budgets. And there will be a limit to how far that stuff goes. I'm just going to be honest. There are a bunch of things that we don't know yet and challenges that we're going to run into that we didn't see coming. But I think the energy around this is going to help carry us through a couple of those moments. And we're not looking at this as we did the logo and now you all take care of your end of that stuff. Currently the website's being reskinned with this new images and logos, and we'll continue to start working down the list as we go. Name tags and different things like that, like things that are visible first and foremost are where we're going to start, and places that it doesn't really matter, we'll kind of save till the end. It'll take us forever to chip away at that. And then someday you'll be like, look at my old t-shirt that has the old logo on it. It'll be a collector's item. So we should probably switch to some other topics because we're going to run out of time.
Okay.
If there's other things to talk about, I guess.
Yeah, they're not as fun though.
No, they're not.
This is super fun. Okay, well, let's shift gears.
Okay.
Let's talk about the budget.
It's just going to hear the air getting sucked right out of the room.
These are the questions. These were approved before I started working here, just saying.
That is totally true.
Yeah, so how's the budget? Are we doing okay? Are we great? Are we expecting cuts? Kind of where are we with that?
Yeah, so the budget is a tale of good news and bad news, and I'm going to kind of stare at the two presidents to kind of keep me on track here and make sure we're all telling the same story. And I'll start with the bad news. Some of you may have seen this in the paper. The very odd thing happened to the community college system this year and last year, where the Office of Fiscal or Financial Management at the state office over-allocated money to us. And this year, for the 24-25 fiscal year, they gave us $28 million extra. And so when our allocation came from the state, System-wide, yeah, not just us. 28 million, we spent it all, we can't figure out where it's at. No, and so when our allocation comes from the state, it comes in this big lump sum, and so between COLA increases and increases in provisos and different things like that, sometimes that money it looks like $5 in your checking account, right? You can't see the smaller pieces in there. And it came across last year, in the last fiscal year, I think it was 19 million that the state overallocated. This year is 28 million to the system overallocated. And they want it back. They want the $28 million back. And for us at CCS, that's $2.6 million was our share of that. So they want that back right now. We have not passed it back to them. And our strategy at this point is for us to work with the legislature to ask them to keep us whole and to not take that money back. And I will tell you where that money went for our institution is largely going to be accounted for through increases in utilities, leases, rents, and other inflationary items that just have taken a toll on us. As I think we can all understand, because we all live out there in the community, go to the grocery store, inflation has really kind of taken it out of us. So that's one thing. The other thing that we have on the horizon that is not going to be a positive for CCS is the review of the allocation model at the state level. We're going through that at the president's level. How can we, making sure that the allocation model is fair and equitable and not disadvantaging a small college or a large college. Can't get into all the details with that, what's been recommended and where we are at this point. But what I can tell you is that the outcome will not be favorable to CCS, largely because other colleges have rebounded faster from the pandemic than we have as a district. So they have a greater increase. So it's a long story. We'd have to go through a big math exercise to show that. But in both cases, we stand to lose significant amounts of money in our annual operating budget. Okay, those are the bad news pieces. The good news is this, is that last year, we really did a lot of hard work budget-wise. And I will always say the goal is to have a budget process that's transparent, collaborative, and strategic. And part of that process was just being open and honest about what's on the books. And what we did is we discovered there was money there that we could use, and we worked with the Board of Trustees and policy, and we put together what's called our stabilization fund. And I talked about this last year, but I could imagine people not really paying attention. But it is a very powerful rainy day fund. And for us, the $2.6 million this year, we're not going through the process of layoffs or looking at where we're cutting. We're waiting to see what's going to happen with the legislature, because our stabilization fund allows us to carry that $2.6 million to be strategic and thoughtful about how we would actually address a $2.6 million reduction. And it saves us from that. And I think you've all lived through this at one place or another, that scorched earth panic of we're going to lose $2.6 million. Who's getting laid off? We're in an entirely different place. And frankly, there's maybe one other college in the system who has that level of ability to approach it this way that we do. There are some other colleges who are, they're on the cliff. And am I covering everything there for both of you who have kind of talked about it? So the good news for us is, despite the bad news, we've positioned ourselves in a way that protects all of us, protects our institution, and allows us to be more thoughtful and more strategic than the rest of the other colleges in the system.
Okay, thanks. Are there other questions here in the audience about any of these topics, I guess?
Yeah, we can keep going down. And we can.
Yeah, Jeff, anything online? Okay. So we'll go from budget to crime.
We're going to play the video again at the end.
Safety and security, I should say. Safety and security. So the question is, it seems like crime is increasing on our campuses. Can you explain what CCS is doing to help keep us safe on our campuses?
Yeah, I think for as long as many of us are at this place, safety and security is going to remain a top priority. Our top priority is always going to be students, and that's a given. But if you go to the number 2, it looks like our number 1 priority is safety and security. our environment has changed so much over the last 5 years that it's undeniable that we need to really work on some things. And I've always said this from the time that Trent, the low barrier homeless shelter opened on Trent, like our priority is this. Number one is to protect our faculty, staff, students, and the learning environment. And then after that, we will work on the rest of the things, because this is a community issue that we need to continue to work on as a group, but we have to protect our campuses. So the things we're doing are this, and we talked about this last year, and it's in full progress now with facilities. We invested or committed $10 million to a huge increase in cameras as well as electronic access controls. We now are actually pursuing some additional money through the federal congressional directed spending route, which is earmarks, with about lighting, what was the other thing? Where's Nicole? Barriers, and there was one other thing we had on there too. Lighting, oh yeah, building notification system like intercom system. So we are pursuing additional monies to kind of, how do we keep our campuses safe? The other thing we have now is some de-escalation training that you'll see available different training days, and I think that's gone out under the campus development day part that is for staff and administrators and exempt employees. And then I think the other thing, this is the most exciting part, this is actually a really timely question that was written a long time ago, but myself and Ken DeMello and Charlie Holland from the security department were able to meet with the mayor's office on Tuesday, and that's about the limited commissioner officer status. So back in 2020, when policing was rolled back, one of the consequences of that was our security officers lost the limited commission officer status. And that means a few different things. One is they can detain and question people. They can only observe and document. The other thing it takes away was their ability to find out, like if they detain Jenny Martin, they could look up who she was, and how long her rap sheet is. A lot of red cards in soccer, probably. Those probably don't show up there. But they lost access to information. It just has really hampered their ability to deal with issues on campus. Well, Mayor Lisa Brown listened to those concerns when she first came into office, and she has come through and is really trying to figure out how that works for us. We met with the chief of police. I feel like the meeting was the most positive one we had on that issue in the last 4 years. Really feeling positive that we potentially could work with the city on that to kind of help our police force. So it will be a topic that we will continue to work on for the foreseeable future, and we're going to have to continue to be better and better and better all the time.
Okay. I think we have a question online. No. Oh.
Okay, they're making me stand up. Can I sit now? I have a question about the security because I started in 2022. So I didn't know that. So previously they were able to detain people and actually arrest them and take them to jail. Okay, so.
Well, I'm talking beyond my law enforcement expertise, and Ken's here somewhere, right? Ken, there he is, right behind you. So Ken, tell me if I get this wrong, but listening to the conversation, our security officers were able to do anything up to a felony, but not a felony arrest, correct?
Yeah, so there was an RCW change, and we had the ability to actually physically take somebody into custody, issue criminal citations in lieu of actually taking somebody to jail. We didn't transport people. We would call SPD to come and do the transport. But for us, in particular, like a criminal trespass, somebody who we have trespassed and then comes back to campus, we were actually, when they came back, rather than waiting for SPD to show up, we were actually able to take them into custody, put them in handcuffs, and then wait for SPD. The biggest thing the chancellor mentioned is the access to information. Being able to call down and see actually how many red cards Jenny had was very important to us. And I can't tell you the exact number, but it was very, very high. But the criminal history stuff was very, very important. Even like the warrants that somebody had, that information was relayed to us. So if we were dealing with somebody who was on campus that actually had the ability to be arrested at that time, which we had, we were able to kind of handle that situation as well. So gave us a lot more tools in our toolbox, so to speak, and so hopefully it will come back as well. So,
Ken, while you've got the microphone, do you want to take 10 seconds and talk about the Campus Shield app?
sure. So hopefully you guys have all downloaded the Campus Shield app. So it's called Campus Shield. If you go to the Google Play Store, or like me, who's an Android user, if you're really cool and have an Apple, you go to the Apple Store, and it's called the Campus Shield app. And then once you download that app, I sent out the instructions probably 3 weeks ago now, maybe 4. Very, well, overdone PowerPoint, frankly. But just follow those steps. And how it works, frankly, is when you download the app, the way that you get access is by the email address. So however your email, well, it's at Bigfoot, at CCS, at SFCC and such, that's what allows you to access our services. And so from the app itself, you can actually request a service like a jumpstart, an unlock with actually not even have to call our dispatch. For the folks that we have here, we have folks, believe it or not, that are here all hours, weekends, sometimes really early in the morning. I know sometimes Jason's here. I know his crew gets here sometimes pretty early. They would have the ability to actually set what's called a safety timer. And that actually, we have a way that you notify us that you're here, and you say, I'm going to be here for X amount of time. It sends us a notification that says you're here, and so now we know you're here. And then when the timer runs out, it will actually send us another notification that says, hey, Ken's timer ran out, and it provides your location. When I say your location, your phone location. So it's just another function of safety. It's really cool. The chancellor doesn't know this, but they're actually developing some further stuff. So on that app itself, it's got an emergency slide button. And so if you're in an emergency, you can slide that button, and it will automatically send us your location based on what's cell phone information or what. We ask for the precise location because then it triangulates your location based on the cell phone tower, so it's much more accurate that way. The other thing, that the part that they're developing is on the other side of that app, as soon as you slide that, it actually notifies the dispatch folks. And then if you allow us permission, it will allow us to take control of your video and your audio of your phone so we can actually see and hear what's going on as we're responding to that emergency slide button. So that's in the development phases. It should be coming here pretty soon. So, yeah.
Thanks, Ken. I hope you can kind of see what I see, which is in the last few years, our technology commitment and change of how we manage campus safety has, I mean, I don't know how you quantify it, but where we were 4 years ago is nothing like where we are today. But we still have a lot of work to do. So good job to you guys. I think you're doing an incredible job.
Okay. Let's talk about the reorg. You've said we're going to change how we work with the business community. Can you explain that? Is there a problem that we're trying to fix?
Yeah, I know we're running out of time, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I saw the time.
Last question.
Yeah, well, and you mentioned it was part of the reorg, and working with businesses and employers, that's part of the reorg. And so I'm going to kind of address what I really want to say about the reorg, which is we spent an enormous amount of energy and effort last year on replacing retirees, shifting people around, and it really took most of our bandwidth to do that. And I think although we accomplished a ton of great things, I was totally smoked by the end of June. It was enough. But the result of that is really, really encouraging to me. We've lost some of the really long-time members of senior leadership, Greg Stevens, Amy McCoy, Carolyn Casey, Lisa Haltland, go on and on and on. There's just a bunch of folks who were here 16 months ago who aren't now. And that's a little scary for a brand new chancellor, we're just going to remember all that institutional knowledge. But I'll tell you, the people that we've gotten to replace those individuals in those different places, including at the college level, are just energizing. To have people that have come, Melanie, for example, is not new to Spokane, but she's new to us. It just has a great, it's just so highly regarded in the community. And then we have Julie Parks in the Vice President of Workforce position, from Grand Rapids, Michigan, Fred Davis from Colorado, essentially, from public and private. And then we have our many individuals who have been here who are shifted around into different positions. I am so optimistic about this year because of the people and the products that we put ourselves in a position to take advantage of, and just what I think we can do to make Spokane colleges a better place. And I'll give some kudos immediately to Dean Ashley Purdon and Julie Parks, who have broken down some barriers in some really tough areas in our community in the last few weeks that I just think absolutely change our status. And that's one example of many places where we're going to be able to do that. And like I said earlier, we're not going to be bashful about it. And we have the right people in place and the right kind of energy. I'll tell you, I should not say this out loud, but I'm going to. My goal, remember, does everybody recognize how in late May and early June we kind of don't like each other that much? kind of had enough of each other. My goal this year is that with the rebranding and our new staff and new people and new leadership is that we have the same kind of energy in June that we have in October. Like, I think that's possible, and it would be a great way to finish out the year. So that's how I feel about the year going forward. I think that's a result of the reorg, a result of bringing the talent in and being part of trying to move this place forward. So I feel awesome about this year.
That's awesome. Well, I think we're at wrap up.
All right. So I think I just did kind of a rah-rah wrap-up thing, but I just will say once again, we can't wait to get everybody engaged. I know we're all chomping at the bit to just start wearing hats and putting stickers up and all those different things. It's going to take a minute for us to get there, but for us to do that together is exciting to me. There are, like I said, there are gift bags on the way out the door. I saw the marketing department run out there, and we're going to start pushing those things out to you and get you involved. And I hope you enjoy it and just be an active participant. But I think we're in for really a fantastic year.
Thanks, sir.
Go get the stuff.
Oh, I muted.